Welcome to Dr. Naveen Kumar's channel, dear students. I am very glad to address you this time through my channel on YouTube. I hope that you are just taking much interest in the series of poetry discussion. I am just overwhelmed with your just interest and at the same time with your just inclination to discuss the poem. I am sure that you are the one who can get yourself skilled into a better reader of poetry. It is also enjoyable. It is just the mind game that you are playing every time. Just this kind of exercise gives us lots of pleasure when we apply our mind to rejoice the artistic expression through the poem that poet is making. So it has been a great source of just delight for all of us. It is just a kind of looking at life from different perspective. Today in our discussion on the poem named Home Thoughts from Abroad by Robert Browning, we are looking at the remembrance of the native land when the poet is outside England. Yes, everybody is fond of loving his or her country. Yes, we are actually full with love and passion for our country. And especially when we are abroad, we most feel sick of our home. And so we remember the very beautiful natural uh, thing which is associated with our country. You too might have felt sometime very upset when we are away from your home. We are just always bound to the love and affection for our home and native place. We can say that where we are born and we spend major parts of our life have a great impact on our mind. We always want to be there because it has just a very lasting impact on our personality as well. So, native place, no matter it is rich and it is poor, is just very much closely associated with our heart. We simply always try to go back there. If physically we are not in our native place for some reasons or others, we just through our flight of imagination goes back to the beautiful orchard, to the beautiful field, to the beautiful just rural surrounding, and they are always trying to just catch our attention to their beauty, to their charms. Robert Browning, as a poet, is just going to deal with everything romantically through this poem. So, this poem is a highly romantic and picturesque poem. You find that he is going to make a very beautiful description about the natural world of England. You know, every place has its beauty for nature. We are just developing our sense of imagination through the cultural surrounding to which we belong. And we can say that our understanding of life is very much all due to our adaptation to the natural surrounding in which we are born and we live for many, many years. So we just remain always attached to the effect of this beautiful scene. And so is the poet here. The speaker wishes to be in England because he is in Italy when he is writing this poem. So he remembers his native place, England, very much. So we find, especially when a spring arrives and we are away from our native place, we are very much sick of just going there back. We find that there are so many people who are homesick, and from a career point of view could not do better, all because of his attachment to the native place. Still we find that there are so many Indians who want to stay in India even if they are given just a handsome package to other country like America and England. But they prefer to stay, and they have little bit of a compromise to make from their profession point of view. However, they are proud of their native place and they live there. So, on the other hand, we find here just a poet is Robert Browning, and he is just very much imagining those living people who are in England this time. He says that they are lucky enough to see the trees begin to sprout. Yes, we are lucky that we live in our natural surrounding. And when it is a spring, we want to be very much near the natural world where we have been living for many, many years. And especially the place which is our native place. So, definitely we can say the people who just live in America might be thinking about India if they are Indians when it is a spring, because the spring that we find in India is not found in other part of the world. It has its own beauty, and because we see that he has spent many essential parts of his age in the country, and it is into that natural environment that they have developed themselves as personality. They are thinking through the natural world that they have spent here and the cultural world that they have lived here. These are the things which are very much essential to nourish their personality as well. So how can you say that we are just not concerned with all these kind of things? So here we can say in spring birds are singing, and just when we are away from our native place, we listen in our imagination all the songs of the birds which are singing in our orchard. So the poet is here imagining April turning to May. That is the prime time of spring in England. And here he sees through his imagination that the birds begin to sing. The white thrush will sing its gorgeous song twice. Now it happens to India also, and being just an Indian, we also remember cuckoo just singing into the orchard, into a spring. How nice it is to listen to that sweet melodious song of cuckoo. And especially we are going to stimulate the song sung by cuckoo in the orchard. We are going to repeat the same kind of thing. And it is just full with just inspiration for all of us to enjoy and do this kind of thing. Now here we find that the fields are overrun with dew, but we think that noontime will bring them to their full beauty. It is what description of English springtime is. We find that in spring in England it all happens that just in morning we find that the fields are overrun with dew. It is full with dew. But when it is moon time, just we find that a beautiful scene appears. So, just England is far brighter than this gaudy melon flower of Italy. So he is comparing, especially different kind of flowers and different kind of just fruits which are growing into Italy. And when the poet is just going to see here too, that okay, a gaudy melon flower is very much available, but we find that far brighter than this gaudy melon flower is England's. So it is here. We cannot say that there is actually just a very just advanced form of beauty that you find in England, but Italy does not have. It is not right to say in that terms. But what we see here is the fact that we are so influenced and charmed with the beauty to which we belong that we think, oh, there is no comparison of that kind of thing. So it is ethnocentric, what you can call description that you find is here. And we can see that it all happens because of its own impact on our mind and heart. Nature everywhere has its own beauty. Even just in Italy, we can find that it is a very beautiful natural setting that people of Italy might be feeling that kind of thing. So, when just people of Italy are just out of Italy, they are remembering most the beautiful natural thing of Italy, and they say, "Oh, there is no comparison of that beautiful thing elsewhere." But I think it is not in nature itself which is less beautiful and more beautiful. It is our projection of idea that it has created a great impact on our mind, and so we are not coming out from the grip of that impact. We remain so just engaged into our personality that we start saying, oh, it is ultimately the matchless thing. So here it is the matter of psychological boosting by the natural surrounding, by the place where we are born. Most often you find that India is the best place. Just and when we see from Indian viewpoint, yes, we rightly say, because here it is into the dust of India that we have grown into, and just that country has given us our whole personality. So we do not find any match of this magical beauty that this country has on us. So we poet also imagines the beauty that is overtaking his native country as spring approaches. So always just we are under the influence, and we see that because they have very much contributed to the development of personality that we are, and so we always remain under the grip of this natural beauty. We are always just going to see that okay, that it is just matchless. So spring, an image of flowering and sense of the world awakening is there. Just so the poet is just awakened with the arrival of spring, because he finds that oh, when he was in England, this was really just a very much enjoyable, a very much pleasant time for him to stay here. So we can say that this poem is just going to follow a romantic tradition of poetry, and romantically the poet is talking about the natural beauty of England, especially when spring arrives. So it transcends human limitation through contemplation of natural beauty. We can say that yes, nature is always present. Nature has made us to contemplate on nature itself. And it is why you can say that we have woven a world of philosophy around the natural world. It is all through our contemplative power which is working on the nature with which we have been living for many, many days. And so we can say the importance of nature and the philosophy of nature in India is quite different. It has become the part of ethos of our life that we always find just overweighing us. And so some very unique philosophical just conclusions are drawn from that kind of surrounding. So you feel a few unique elements, the perspective in the third line being somebody else there. So we can say that if just we stay elsewhere and we are just going to recollect the memories of season and weather of our native country, you find that we are missing the most beautiful thing of our life. So just he is imagining, it is rather because he is physically not present in England this time, so he imagines everything. And actually it is not just actually he is describing the season of spring of England. It is not descriptive, it is not exact, that he is explaining everything. So he is imagining a lot, and he says whoever wakes in England might see. You see every day that just English natural world is just giving you a new and very different kind of sense of beauty that you have not been feeling elsewhere. So we can say it is just rather descriptive, but an idealized air that the poet has tried to explain. Yeah, we can say that just ideally he is speaking about the beauty of England, where he thinks that it have been full with this kind of natural beauty. So what he sees in his mind is an kind of imagination rather than objective fact. No, it is not the objective analysis, because he is not talking what actually is taking place in England. He is just going to make something out of his imagination. So, as a romantic person is just going to do, that he does not remain objective in his description. And so he is never realistic, that we are writing what we are seeing or what we are observing. It is not the very much object of the poet to do that sort of thing. So he is just adding one piece of imagination to another piece. So we can say that he is just making here a kind of compromise with the objective reality that is found in England. So he speaks through his characters, and he is speaking whatever is coming to his brain, because just it is out of the just sense of love that he makes out everything. So love is just a forceful or rather imaginative force that adds new sort of world to our thought. So it is on the one hand just overwhelming influence of love for nation that the nature is under the influence and just trying to do everything. But he is mournful because he is not England. So it is a mournful, disparate composition for English springtime. So we can say that it is under the momentary just imagination that everything is coming out from his mind. So it is not deep or permanent expression of his soul that he is making. It is a momentary feeling that he is trying to capture into his poem. And he sits somewhere and he starts talking and imagining and contemplating about the natural world that he is thinking of taking place in England with the arrival of spring. So as the months of springtime pass, so will this daydream. Now, yeah, it is a kind of daydreaming that is there. So because we actually find that he is not realistic or what he can call objective. So just talking and talking and talking, thinking and thinking and thinking. So it is unlimited thought, unlimited contemplation that he is just making into poem to give so much extra, just beautiful imagination and contemplation about his country. So the poet is a homesick traveler, and he longs for every detail of his beloved home. So the first line, just that is the opening line, which is, "Oh, to be in England." That is a kind of repentance he's making because he's not in England this time, and it has been written into 1845 while he was staying in Italy. So he with his wife, Elizabeth Barrett, visited Italy, and just has been just missing lots of things that he would have been enjoying in England. So it is just a lyrical, short lyrical poem that we can say which has been written on this idea of sense of homesickness, and especially it is during the springtime, especially April, when the trees are coming into leaf and the chopping can be heard singing in the morning. So we can imagine a lot. But the point is that we have all these kind of just a feeling when we are away from our country, and we miss a lot just living elsewhere. Thank